Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2. And today I'm going to be giving you part 24 of What If Naruto Had the Rarest Bloodline. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Became the God of Lightning over on Anime King. And I enjoyed that guys. And I also post a brand new episode of What If Naruto Was Neglected with Jashin sealing Safim, so go ahead and enjoy this as well. And remember, if you're new, yes, I have 3 channels: Anime King 2, Anime King 3, which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And remember to turn on that bell notification so you posted. And yeah, what do you say we begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last spot we left off, Nagato gave Naruto his other eye, as he told Naruto that he would be the best one to hold on to these. He said these because he had no doubt that Naruto would get the other eye from the masked man. After all, it was Naruto. Naruto had power, immense power, but he never used to conquer or rule over anyone. He never forced the will on anyone, but Nagato, gaining a taste of power, called himself a god, and he let it twist and change his mind. So he didn't deserve them. He'd rule over his people like he once did, as he just hoped the people had enough faith in him to let him show them that he's changed, as he drive them into a new path, he hoped. Meanwhile, as the BLA Heat team had made their way towards the top of the mountain, they were searching for Minato. As they arrived, they saw the Uchihas. They were transformed, yes, because of the natural energy, as someone had seemed to force up natural energy upon them, as their bodies were turned to stone, while their bodies were being in the process of changing to something horrific. The BLAK members quickly made their way as they continued on with their search. Meanwhile, Naruto made his way towards Konoha. It was rather easy to get in, and rather easy to sneak inside of the Uchiha compound, where he decided to go over the information, trying to find something more on the Sharingan Eye. But there was nothing on the space-time ninjutsu that the masked man was using, absolutely nothing. With that out of the way, he was so in-depth he didn't notice a small child. A small child came around the small teddy bear as the boy saw him. As the boy screamed, but Naruto was already gone, quickly exiting the place, as no one will find out what the boy was screaming about, or will find Naruto as he was already gone. So with that out of the way, at darkness, chaos happened so quickly, as black flames hit the barrier, as it came raining down, burning through the barrier, as Madara Uchiha, the original, and the fake Obito under the mask arrived. As they start to assault darkness, questioning the others went to fend them off, as Obito released several spears in the sky that started to uproot darkness, as he was going to turn the place upside down. As Madara didn't tell him to go, the Edo Tensei was imperfect, as Madara took his eye back from Obito and gave him a reflection like what Nagato did with the other paths. So the eye wasn't as powerful, but Sawake and Komodo Dragon was going after Kabuto, as they were able to catch Obito, and once his system got infected by her blood, he was done for. Meanwhile, as the 5-tailed dolphin horse was destroying the spears in the sky, the cannons, as darkness had cannons that can blow them up, the 5-tailed decided to get a perfect match from Madara. As he slammed his hoof down, there was a poof as Naruto arrived. As Naruto told everyone else to back off as he fought Madara at Mito's homeland. As he fought the man, as Madara was shocked by the speed as Naruto ripped him apart. But the man simply got back up as his body was, well, unable to take that much damage. As Madara, after a while, realized he was getting nowhere as Naruto was getting faster and faster and Madara was getting outpaced. He was being tossed around like a spoiled child. Madara decided to kick up into overdrive, as he apologized to Naruto for not going all out from before. As the man also had Another part of Senju Hoshirama inside of him that he absorbed from the statue, giving him Sage Mode. As the Rinnegan in his right eye pulsed at the Sage Mode. As the man got ready to face off against Naruto as he came in like a tidal wave. So yeah guys, so basically that's what I thought. You guys can switch across the police injector for yourself. So what do you say begin this new episode? I apologize Naruto. I have not been taking you seriously, said Madara. As the skin around his eyes darkened, the vegetation around the dry land started to grow and swirl around him as he entered Sage Mode. His Rinnegan pulsed evilly, and he closed his Mangekyo eye. Allow me to honor this battle by not holding back, said Madara. As Madara speed through two sets of hand signs as Naruto, moving incredibly fast, did the same thing, going through hand signs of his own. As Madara shouted, fire style, great fire, ball annihilation. As Naruto shouted, water release, tears of the Kraken, he said. The surging wall of water smashed into chaotic fireball. It was indeed chaotic. Scalding heat spread everywhere, similar to the five-tail boil release. As the battleground under their feet wavered, the grass dried and a hot wind blew it away as dust. Soil hardened and turned black, feeling like cement under their feet. Naruto's eyes flicked up as a bolt of electricity roared down from the black clouds. Clone came from Madara's back from the wood style and flipped through hand signs. Sage Art, Storm Release, Lightning Fang, he said. He pointed his palms to the bolt of lightning and fired off his own bolt of lightning. As the two attacks collided, the whole continent rippled with seismic shifts, earthquake that trembled the entire place. As Madara used the opportunity to fly towards Naruto, his feet no longer touching the ground as he had a sick, twisted smile on his face. Clone on his back seeped into the earth and Naruto's white eyes saw the clone twist. Naruto twisted his body before his fist crashed into the ground. Earth and fire, calibration jutsu, volcanic swamp of the netherworld. Earth in front of him rose up to form an active volcano. To make Naruto chakra control and the vault of his chakra, the lava was not red, it was black. The volcano erupted. It was 100 meters high and roughly 5 miles wide. Residents of Hinichill, going towards the northeastern, saw the massive volcano as they started to panic. The same could be said about the rest of the continent. Madara clone leaped out of the air, running away from the boiling lava. As the real Madara twists and swerved around it, the clone flew straight up, but Naruto's storm clouds incinerated it. Naruto was on the dead center as he shifted his fingers into the dragon seal. Lava stopped erupting outwards and continued up straight up in the clouds. Volcanic hailstorm, said Naruto, as the lava hardened and fall down as spears. There were so much of them they could block out the sun, something not even his storm clouds could do completely. It looked like the end of the world was coming. Horror in the air cackled with glee as the white hellfire came raining down on him. Madara used the Rinnegan to use a yin-yang release jutsu, one that negates all ninjutsu, as he dispersed all of them. As Naruto leaped out of the volcano with a slap of earth that he was standing on as he cursed, Nagato was not able to destroy his technique that easily. Madara blinked away as he appeared and slammed his foot right into Naruto's guard. As Naruto's natural energy inside of him started to keep his bones in check as he tilted his head as a foot passed him, whipping through the air. The two men appear and disappear all around the battlefield, their arms and legs constantly moving in blurs of speed. No normal people could keep up with that. As their battle tore space and time with their fight, as Naruto slammed his hand into Madara's chest, as a clone dispersed, the real Madara appeared as he twists under Naruto's hand and slammed a vicious kick into Naruto's skull. As that brought a memory into Naruto's mind. Flashback. As Naruto's bare feet packed on the ground, as he tried to be stealthy and hasty, as he snuck into the small camp. 7-year-old Naruto appreciated the rain for masking his footsteps, but he cursed as he nearly tripped and fall, as there was a pot there, with what Naruto could only hope was food. His stomach grumbled. A mere week ago, its world had fallen apart. His parents, stepped in the active mind, and his friends was unable to grasp the gravity of how their childhood had gone up in flames. Tears welled up in his eyes as he remembered how his parents ran behind them as iron samurais, stone shinobi, kumo shinobis turned their peaceful home into a war zone. Yaiko had been staying with them when his uncle had gone off to fight the war in Tavian Rain alongside Hanzo Salamander. The mine had gone off as he heard the scream. He didn't look back to what his parents had become. He hid Yaiko and found Konan some hours later hugging her mother's decapitated head. Sawaki was found holding someone's hand. The rest of the body was crushed under the household. Dragged them away and carried them, Konan on his back, Sawaki clinging on his front. They were weak, but they were unresponsive to do anything. So he had to take care of them. He had to make sure that they were okay. Nagato's eyes had changed at first. Naruto thought that he was blind, but he was not. He was relieved for that. As he slowly opened the pot, he smiled as he saw chicken broth inside, with a whole chicken. Who is that? As Naruto froze towards the wall, he saw something was moving. Someone was getting up. I know you're there. Who are you? The person didn't sound afraid, as it was a small camp with the tent right there, and behind the wall the person was moving. As the person got up, as the rags fall off of him, he was old. He had white hair that reached down towards his waist, as his eyes were covered in bandages. As Naruto realized the person was blind. I asked you a question, boy, the man said. He was not afraid of Naruto, despite the man being unable to see, as his voice was intimidating. As Naruto trembled. I'm sorry, old man, he said. As Naruto turned and fled with the pot of food, as Madara Uchiha watched him, as Madara allowed Naruto to escape with it. In the flashback, Naruto shook his head as he blocked the punch that came towards his throat. Blow pushed him back, giving him space to look at Madara. He really looked at him, as Naruto's eyes widened. You. Madara had never forgotten the boy. Chakra fainted, water and lightning, as the lightning was later to be a bloodline, because of how potent it was. Madara's sensory ability saw Naruto chakras as piling, mass of white and black. It was when he was reincarnated he found Naruto's name, Naruto. How? Are you alive? Said Naruto, as another memory struck him. Flashback. Mortality is the vein of humanity. Orochimaru told his 10-year-old student Naruto. But Urkai-sensei said Naruto as he looked forward, as Yaiko, Nagato and Konan were doing kunai practice. As behind Naruto, Sawaki was walking up the wall before she fell. Luckily she dropped right in her butt. As she started to do it again. I don't want to live forever, said Naruto. I want to die someday. Of natural causes, preferably. Orochimaru chuckled at those words. Many people don't share your thoughts, Naruto, he said. I assume you want immortality, said Naruto. Well, some form of it, said Orochimaru. As Naruto's eyes glare at the man. Stay away from Sawaki, okay? As Orochimaru raised his hand and laughed. Well then, you better keep both eyes on her, Orochimaru said in a joking tone. That just further caused Naruto's eyes to narrow. Tobirama Senju. You know who he is, don't you? Konoha, second Hokage, said Naruto. Correct, Orochimaru said. He created a jutsu that can raise the dead, but it's not really perfect. As Naruto raised the eyebrow at that. Raise the dead? It isn't perfect. It is more like reincarnation, not resurrection. It is used to bring the dead back to life, but at the cost of obeying the summoner. That is why Tobirama Jutsu is not perfect. So you want to perfect it, said Naruto. Yes. It's on one of my to-do lists, said Orochimaru. Why are you telling me this? I don't really care, said Naruto. And I'm not gonna resurrect you if you die. Even if they say Sawaki was to die and you know this jutsu, and you can bring her back, you would not. If she's dead, said Naruto. I will not disturb her rest. Right now though, I will make sure she doesn't die. Orochimaru merely chuckled. When you get older, those thoughts, they will change. Right now, you're merely a child, he said. Not anymore, said Naruto. As Naruto stopped being a child when he took up the role of guardian for his friends. In the flashback. Reincarnation. That was the only reason Naruto could think of why Madara was here and why he was alive right now. Unfortunately, Naruto did not press Orochimaru on how to stop it. And he didn't know any sealing jutsu that can seal successfully the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan and the Rinnegan without the undead Uchiha breaking out of it somehow. As Naruto shot off the ground as a bolt of lightning slammed into his back, propelling him at breakneck speed. The sound barrier cracked as his shoulder slammed into Madara's stomach. Two men came down to the earth like a meteor. Boom! The dark ninjas that were surrounding Mito's grassland erupted 5 more barriers to contain the explosion, but they all shattered as they erupted 5 more, as every one of them had 5 layers, but they all shattered as they kept on erupting barriers after barriers to keep the battle that was going on inside. After so much, the explosion finally died down. Silence. No one spoke. A few closed their eyes. A few prayed. Kushina looked through towards the 20 barrier seals that remained, as her eyes squinted trying to find anything, trying to see him somewhere, as she focused on the spot where the massive gaping hole was in the earth. Their hearts fell as chakra that did not belong to their leader Naruto exploded outwards, destroying 15 of the 20 barriers. Giant humanoid construct made of chakra rose out of the crater. The thing reached the clouds. It wielded a massive sword, and blue wings were on its back. It reached the clouds that Naruto had created and passed over them. Squeal could be heard as salamander, red and yellow, as it reached the abdomen, the lower abdomen of the giant, heavenly creature that Madara had created. Squeal as it dropped both of his paws on the ground, standing on the salamander chief head was Naruto, holding his throbbing left shoulder and breathing heavily under his mask. Madara had on a smirk on his face, his armor. The top half had been shredded, and his shirt underneath as well, as he was bare-chested. As the first Hokage face was on his chest, as the thing opened its mouth, but there was no noise coming from it. As Madara did not want to admit that Naruto's shoulder tackle had snapped his spine and obliterated 4 of his lower ribs. Hoshirama's sage chakra was in the process, fixing it while he hovered in Sano. Annoyed him because he was putting so much effort in the Indigo's life, but yet he could not, and he almost got broken into half a moment ago. He looked over the shinobis 7,000 meters away from the grassland that was guiding it and creating those barriers all around. Because of their battle, Mito Grassland couldn't be called Mito's Grassland anymore. It was now Mito's Wasteland, as the plant life will never grow here again. As he noticed that Naruto was keeping the battle inside of Mito's Wasteland, the barriers were keeping them at bay. But Madara noticed that Naruto always tried to keep him inside, always keeping him right here. As Madara can admit, he wasn't proud enough to not admit it. He had fallen for Naruto trying to take the battle away from darkness. An idea came to Madara, stretch Naruto's attention even more. Stretch it to the limit. Being the leader was Naruto's ultimate weakness. He wanted to keep them all safe. As the arms and Suno went through hand sign, as he did the same thing. Ram, snake, bird, extinction, meteors, as far as the eyes could see, were pulled in by Madara. Control over gravity. 10 of them or so in total, hung over darkness. Naruto grinded his teeth as he saw those meteors coming down to crush his village into nothingness. Chakra cannon boom after chakra cannon, but they were barely denting the space rocks. So this is your plan, said Naruto, as the hand that was supporting his shoulder clenched at it. Salamander looked up as well as he growled and slammed his tail in the earth. Naruto placed his hand on top of Salamander's head and calmed him down as he muttered, I have an idea, he said. 3 seconds should be enough. Hold him back for 3 seconds, said Naruto, as Madara rushed towards them inside the snow. As the salamander opened his mouth and released a thick blue liquid, Madara created a shield and blocked it. The poison came from salamander was breaking down chakra as he was eating away at the shield. Madara created 4 clones, and those 4 clones surrounded Naruto as they materialized. Susanoo as well. All of them draw their blades and focused their eyes downwards and brought their blades down as Naruto flashed through 2 seals as he already got his 3 seconds. As he flashed through the tiger and ram seal, as he held his arms together, as he activated his most powerful form. Silent night, he said. As Naruto bowed his head, it happened so quickly, but everything was moving slow to him. Blackness bathed his body and his clothes, as he could be mistaken for smoke, even his upper face alone, on display. Spiky hair rose up and changed to white lightning, crackling dangerously. The black tattoos on his arms got lit up, with white lightning coursing through them. He looked like a mix of midnight incarnate, with a bright, endless shine, as his back writhed and spiny. 20 feet, cackling lightning broke from his back, showing his demonic lightning wings. Seal came over his chest, and it read heart. 2 more of those seals appeared in the palm of his hands, and they read hand, as they were pulsing red. A pair of grey horns crept out of Naruto's temple, curving up 2 feet long. Chilling silence came over Mito Wasteland. It was so silent. Madara clones backtracked, even the real one, as they read themselves. Naruto shifted his foot as he spoke, his voice coming out like a whisper. Take the one behind me, he said, as the summon squealed, ready to commit to the demand. Naruto's wings flapped as he stepped forward, and he was gone. Madara looked around frantically, tried to find the ghost, but he couldn't. He then snapped his head upward as he saw the ghost right in the center of the meteors. He opened his palms, the red seal started to burn, smoke coming from his palms. Anti-chakra. Black hole, he said, as the meteors started to warp. They warp as they start to shrink in size. They warp until they were the size of pebbles, as Naruto's chest where the seal was sucked them inside. The whole continent to sigh in relief and tremble in horror at what just happened. One moment they saw the extinction of darkness. The next, some kind of god gather all the rocks in a second and seal them within himself. Madara grit his teeth as he looked up. He was sure that Naruto had turned into a demon. As a white-haired demon, eyes never wavered as he decided not to seal Madara into his void, the black hole, because his Sharingan and Rinnegan can become too troublesome to contain. As Naruto stepped forward and he vanished once again, the next thing Madara knew, Naruto was inside his Susanoo. He was too close to dodge. The wings wrapped around Madara and a feet slammed into his chest as it knocked all the air out of him as he slammed into the wings, tear into his body before he burst through them and burst right through the Susanoo, breaking through it like it was glass. Madara's soul curled inwards like an electrocuted insect. Every nerve ending, every cell, every chakra in his body screaming agony as he crashed land in the ground, digging a deep, deep trench with his back, or crawl out of the pit as he watched all of his clones with Susanoo got absorbed into Naruto's chest, except the one that the summon was chewing on, as the ghost of the Uchiha wondered in that moment whether or not if he was outclassed. As he saw it through his Rinnegan eye, there was an eternal black void of emptiness that was sucking in anything that was 5 feet close to Naruto into that void in his chest. The seals on his palms squeezed them into a funnel and directed in towards his seal in his chest. Naruto was a black hole. He was a void that was just a small portion of what Naruto had become. The speed that Naruto now had was 5 times faster than what he displayed when he was in white noise. As Naruto seemed to be faster than light itself as he moved, there was no chakra explosion or nothing. The next thing Madara knew, he was being pelted by blows. 50 punches in his chest and his upper torso and his lower torso, and yet he didn't see Naruto move. Madara was dazed as Naruto's body moved around him in a haze. He received several healthy blows, several hits that would kill a single man with one of them. As Madara was dazed, he couldn't even see properly. As a knee slammed into his gut, his Rinnegan was unable to keep up with Naruto. He saw a sea of white-haired demons surrounding him, and his body was too slow, too sluggish to keep up with any of them. As Naruto backtracked a step before he returned a spotted kick to the chin of Madara, lifting him up off the ground as he smashed through the top of the volcano that Naruto created. For 5 seconds, Madara Uchiha forgot where he was or what he was doing as he smashed into the ground that thud, feeling more of his undead bone crack. His Madara Rinnegan spin as he picked himself up, his Rinnegan glow ominously. "I am not beaten," he said, as Naruto waved his hand as Night Terror, his ninjato, appeared in his palm. As Naruto pointed towards Madara and he was gone, pulled out his dual chain sights as both men clashed in a massive duels of spark and electricity. As Madara realized something, he could not touch Naruto. As he came upon a realization, he in fact was beaten. He was no match for Naruto. Meanwhile, somewhere under the Valley of the End, Kabuto was not a Uchiha. Far from it, actually. Kabuto wasn't born with the superiority that the Uchihas were born with, just because they had their Sharingan eyes. He wasn't that naive to think that he was superior to anyone in the planet, not like Obito or Madara at all. Against his two pursuers, Kabuto ran, because that was the best thing he could do. He ran. He had identified one of them that was chasing him. Orochimaru had written about this woman in his journal, Sawaki. She was a student of Naruto, the vampire empress, a legendary class ninja. He was not gonna fight her at all. For the second person, Kabuto didn't know who that was, but any person that was accompanying her, they must be incredibly strong as well. A question floated in his head though. Is he gonna run forever? Run until Madara defeat Naruto? But what's gonna happen then? In his heart, Kabuto didn't believe that Madara could defeat Naruto. Naruto was the boogeyman, the phantom that haunt the night, the person that parents warn their children about to keep them in line. He was a ghost, the infamous ghost. Madara was a ghost of the past, but Naruto was a today ghost. And Kabuto didn't believe that Madara could win. Not to mention, Naruto was more intimidating than Madara. Not that Kabuto would say that to Madara's face or his back, or even anywhere around him. His legs were burning, his lungs, he needed air, as he had to dodge the side as hails of red senmons embedded into the wall. They had one target, and that was to skewer him, and he ran for his life. Ran because he knew if he stopped, he was done for. As he leaped through a metal door, as he shut it behind him, as he heard the blood senmons clashing against them. At the moment he was going towards grass country, Orochimaru had a lab there that he could use. Yes, only a few more miles away. I can make it, Kabuto said. But his stamina was failing him. Meanwhile, on Clover Mountain, Head Mountain, seated on a log in front of his house, Minato glanced down towards his hand. When he started to lose feeling in it, the tips of his finger were a deep grey, stony, just like his knees and his feet. As you remember how it got to this, flashback, Fukoku roared as he rushed towards Clover Mountain, where the person he was looking for was seated at the gate. He saw the revulsion on Minato's face. At this point, Fukoku was less man, as he was more snake. His lower half was snake, while his upper body was nothing but black snake wiggling. Fukoku looked like he came out of a horror story. Snakes, 2 men to count, open their mouth and wail. A mixture of agony, sadness, and fury. Minato gripped the Hiroshin Kuna in his hand a bit tighter, as his mask cracked a bit to see the thing that his friend had become, his former friend. This is your fault, Minato, the man hissed out. This is all your fault, Minato, the man said, raging. I didn't do this to you, Fukoku. You did this to yourself, said Minato, his fingers twitching on the hilt of his blade. You've taken everything from me. My wife, my child, my friends, my clan, Fukoku roared. Minato wasn't sure if it was Fukoku who was speaking anymore. Probably it was just a dark form of the man the host and soul was already taken to the reaper already. What Minato knew was Fukoku was suffering from nature chakra possession, and from the looks of it, it was snake nature chakra. But instead of turning into a stone of a snake, he turned into a reptilian monster that affected anyone that was close to him, turning them into stone. The circus master told him that there was 20 of them coming, but no, the only one that stood here was Fukoku. Minato could tell what happened to the others that followed him. They were probably all turned to stone. Leaving Fukoku right here would harm the people of Clover Mountain. That was the sole reason why he stayed behind and not went to the capital with his expecting girlfriend. The people had done nothing. They didn't deserve this. Cool. The girl that had been helping selling firewood for him and her family did not deserve this at all. Maybe having a normal life made him soft. As Fukoku roared, you must be in pain. I'll put you out of your misery. There was a seal under Fukoku that Minato activate as ropes. Tight ropes wrapped around the man, and another seal started draining Fukoku's chakra. But Minato never expected that Fukoku would come with nature chakra. So, the seal only took Fukoku normal chakra, leaving the violent snake chakra. This made the creature in front of him more feral, as Fukoku was long gone by now, given that his chakra was all out, and the creature was the only thing that remained. As the snake beast dropped down and started to roar, shake, and pulsate violently, a tidal wave of nature energy washed out of Fukoku to swallow Clover Mountain as it rushed over Minato, and both him and Fukoku vanished in a yellow flash. In the flashback, Minato had kicked Fukoku into Tatsumi and his house and raised a barrier to protect the people. Nature chakra bomb went off with a thud and nothing more. Minato had flashed away, but not fast enough, as the fingertips of his hand got turned to stone and it was creeping up his skin. Minato had dipped as he sat down. So, this is how I go out, he said. He could flash towards the fire capital and spend the last moments with his girlfriend, but he didn't want to put Tatsumi into that pain. He also didn't know if people would get infected by him, and he didn't want. That was the last night he wanted. Minato wasn't a sage, nor was he a toad summon anymore. The moment after Konoha bloodbath, the toad summons removed his name from the contract, and he never got around to learning sage mode like Jiraiya. 2 people appear in front of him, one of them wearing a fox mask, another one a rabbit mask, a male and a female. Fox turned to his team captain. He's still alive. He lifted his head up as Fox slowly got back to his feet as Rabbit raised eyebrow. Nature chakra poisoning. Your right hand and your legs were closer to Fukoku. Yeah, I can see that, said Minato. Pinky and Chipmunk were walking around as the cottage was still covered in the barrier. I am Captain Rabbit, and this is Deputy Captain Fox, and we were charged by Lord Naruto to come and make sure that you were safe. Sumi, Inuzaka, and Konan are safely in the fire country with Lady Wakano. There is no more Akatsuki. Nice to meet you, said Minato. Half of the black of his hand turned into stone. I'm sorry. It seems this mission is a failure, he said as he smiled, a regretful look in his eyes. Tell your master he has my eternal thanks for keeping Tatsumi safe. Thank Konan too if you can. I don't know what I did to make her help me, but she will always have my thanks. Being professionals, Fox and Rabbit did not show their remorse for not getting there faster. As Fox nodded, they will know. Watch as Minato's right hand turned to stone. 2 of them didn't know what to do. Minato was turning into a statue. They were at least glad he wasn't in pain. Minato wasn't in pain. He just felt his body losing sensation. Soon he will find out if this meant death, or would he be trapped like this for eternity? His regret was he didn't have any paper to write a note to his girlfriend, tell her how much he loved her and that he regret not being there for his unborn child. Tell her if he was privileged enough to meet her in the next life, in heaven or any life after this, he would treasure every single waking moment to make sure that he'd keep everything with him forever. To tell her how much he loved her. But he was happy that she was safe with Konan and Wakino, knowing that his girlfriend and child would have the best life. It made him happy. Monkey rushed up to them. Do you mind if I check something? Minato raised an eyebrow. I'm a touch sensor like you, said Monkey. That's nice, said Minato, in my whole life. You're the only other one I met. Really? Said Monkey. Yes, touch sensors are really rare. Rabbit coughed in her fists as she saw time was running out. What did you want to check, Monkey? Yeah. As he touched Minato's hand that turned to stone. The nature, chakra is spreading. They looked at him, of course they knew that. As he clarified, it's possible that he won't turn into a statue if... He trailed off, as Minato was the first one to get what he was saying. As Monkey removed his hand, I don't want you to think that this is just about the mission. Leader Naruto ordered us to make sure you are alive and safe, said Fox, interrupting Monkey from blurting out darkness. Hi. Successful mission rate. At the end of the day, the decision is up to you. Speaking informally, we were briefed about you before we entered this mission. We all have family back homes. And you, Mr. Minato, I don't want to sound forceful. I don't want it to make it seem like you have no other option. But, so that you make it back to Tatsumi and your child, you'll have to amputate now so it doesn't become too late. Amputation, Minato thought. Cutting the problem ears off before they spread even more. He was going to be a father. I hear, the San is a world leader in medical technology. He weighed his mind. Do you think I'll have to wait long to get their prosthetics? He asked. They have the best technology, said Rabbit. As Fox spoke, I know not having them and a replacement would never... Minato smiled. I get to see my girl and my child born. That is the best thing I could ask for, he said. He held up his stony right hand and Rabbit whipped out her danto. They all turned when they heard a burst of wind come close towards Clover Mountain. I was wondering what happened to those meteors, said Minato. Must be Naruto. As he turned back towards his arm that was about to be amputated. Meanwhile, in a sense, Silent Night was a technique that gave Naruto absolute control over space and time, as Naruto could literally erase the distance between him and a person to get towards them, but that would mess with the universe. So, in a second, it was formed back behind him. Even if it was a person, they would be erased, and then they would be formed back in a second behind him, as that is what he did to cut the distance so quickly. But if he wasn't careful, he could literally erase half of the multiverse within seconds. That was how powerful Silent Night was. It looked like he was using a yin-yang release jutsu to through space and time, but no. He was literally removing the obstacle in his way and moving towards his destination. To enter this form, Naruto did 6 things that no man, no one, could possibly do, health-wise and ability-wise. He vibrated his cells and chakra at twice the speed of light. For a speedster like him, vibrating one's own cells was difficult. But to push it twice to the speed of light, that was seemingly impossible. But yet he was able to do it. He also mixed his black-white chakra with atmospheric chakra, something he do to enter white noise. For him who have trained so hard to master this on the mountain, when he passed out hundreds of times, it wasn't hard to do it. He reversed the flow of his mixed chakra, and that was the weird part. Chakra was made to move forward and out of things coils and into the earth, moving all around. But yet, Naruto reversed it. It was never meant to go backwards, but yet he did it. It was a law of physical nature, because it was physical and mentally impossible to do something like that. Yet for someone like him, the word impossible didn't mean much to him. He spent months under an underwater cave at the bottom of the ocean, mastering his chakra, where he broke down his chakra pathways bit by bit, piece by piece, and then returned it and reversed the flow completely. Yes, a very taxing and dangerous task to do, but yet he was able to achieve it. That is the main reason why his chakra changed from a peaceful blue to a thin white and black, because he shattered the coils so much time and reversed them. 5th thing he did was use a breathing technique, gut breathing, where he captured particle of air in his stomach to shut down the brain to slow down everything around him, where it physically strengthened the body to a maximum degree. This was only to be used at the tallest vantage point of any mountain, but yet he was using it right here, because down here there was a lot of air, because on the mountain there was not. So if he used the gut breathing, it would pack his lungs and they would explode. But yet he was able to control it and pinpoint how much he wanted to gather in his lungs. Sixth thing he did was that he combined all of these things together to activate Silent Night. Ayuma, the doctor, hailed Naruto as the pinnacle of human achievement. Versing his black-white chakra created something though, anti-chakra. It was still unknown what anti-chakra was, as it was never seen or seen up close or used before. Only theories were there by scientists. In simple word, anti-chakra was present in the void of space. In fact, anti-chakra was space itself, black holes, entire solar systems, stars, asteroids, meteors, the millions of other universes besides its own. Naruto was hyper aware of all of this and even more, as Naruto had a galaxy inside of his chest, where the items that he sent there dump out into that wide galaxy. This galaxy was separate from the one that he was currently in, and at the same time it was the same size. It's growing by the second by the influx of chakra, as Naruto was so hyper aware of his existence, more so than any human being was supposed to be. The first time he used Silent Night, he got a brief glimpse of the other universe. Same creatures and beings who could tap into the same power as him. From the very beginning, Naruto knew everything and he told no one, because if the Rinnegan could fall in the wrong hands, what would happen if someone was able to achieve Silent Night? Someone bad. There's also a lot of side effects by breaking your cells like that. You had to focus your brain activity on your self-awareness and your hyper-awareness. The strain could tear his brain apart. That is why he limited himself to the whisper of the speed of light. When he could handle that kind of pressure, he was not going above the speed of light. Just a mere whisper, and reversing his chakra also ate away at his body. That is why his face was that way. There was also the possibility of him dropping dead when he ended the technique, but he was resigned to die. He couldn't see the future, but he was sure it was not going to end well for him. Madara was panicking as he tried to reform his Sano, but he was blown out of it in a crack of light as Naruto's fist impacted, and the man was sent sailing like a bullet. The people had to close their eyes at a massive explosion from the hit, a single hit, as Madara skipped on the ground only for Naruto's knee to just appear and dig into his face, as Naruto tear into the man's side, as Madara didn't even see the blade in the man's hand, but he just flickered there in a burst of speed, as the man was on the ground unable to move, as Naruto slashed upwards before cutting back down, forming an X on Madara's stomach with his blade, then flashed around in his hand, working Madara down into sliceable chunks, as it looked like he had 100 hands moving at once, despite only using one. Rama Senjutsu worked as fast as possible to mend Madara up. Almighty push, he said. Madara was in complete shock as Naruto slashed the wave of gravity out of existence, as Madara got back up and swung his sight as Naruto ducked, tearing through Madara's kneecap as the man dropped down to one knee, as Madara tilted back as he channeled a large amount of chakra into his fist and brought it forward, as Naruto brought his forehead forward with his horns, as Madara's fist smashed against it. Madara yanked his hand back with a shout as he looked at his fingers that were now in a mangled state. Madara staggered back as he tried to gather air in his lungs as his sage mode flickered off. Was that supposed to hurt? Said Naruto. I barely felt it. Madara was going through mental turmoil as his body refused to gather more natural energy to enter safe mode, as his fingers cracked and more cracks appeared in his face. What the hell? Tell me if you feel this, said Naruto, as he pointed his ninjutsu to the heavens and swiped it down. Nightlight, he said. An arc of light came down and slammed into Madara. It burst into the ground and rippled the entire planet. The power went downwards as the planet shook in agony. Gravity doubled for a split second on Earth. It seemed like it was about to roll out of orbit as Naruto flapped his wings as the dust blew away, as Madara had a cut from his head going down towards his cheek, slicing right through his Sharingan eye. A creature worked behind Naruto, a smoking mass of darkness with a mask. It was a Shinigami. The Shinigami chuckled ominously, a vision only Madara could see. Death placed his hand over Madara's face. Madara swallowed thickly as he realized it was Naruto. The ghost had become Death. Be taking this. As Madara Rinnegan flowed into the vortex seal on Naruto right hand palm, hand left his face and Madara's eye socket was hollow, straightened up and his horns buzzed, as Madara heard screaming of torment and despair weighing down on him. Sanity cracked as tears ran down his eye hole. Madara wailing tears as icy hands gripped into his body, dragging him towards death. As the phantom spoke, do you hear them? The insistent chattering, the whispers of the damned, those that rose up against darkness and failed, those that had fallen against Naruto's hand, as they scream, They laugh. They cry. They pain. Madara was pulled in. No, I don't want to die. Not again, he said. His plan, godhood, immortality. He was nothing. He had nothing. He was nothing. The man was shaking in terror. Do not fear death, the demon in front of him said, as he smiled. Fear me. Those words follow Madara as he tumbled right into the universe inside of Naruto. Center, chakra coil, black clouds shrank into themselves and vanished as the bright light of the sun emerged. The black smoke on Naruto's body burst off of him as it fluttered around. The wings dispersed into the air as natural energy. His horns returned and his eyes returned back to normal. As Naruto looked around, his blue eyes dimming and becoming a shade of white. A magnificent poof the salamander was sent back to the summoning realm. I'm tired, he said as he sat down, resting his back as the ninjas rushed inside ruining their gas mask as he couldn't step inside without it. Naruto felt so tired his very soul was heavy. Just 5 minutes, he said out of breath. He realized with his eyes closed that he had stopped breathing. But he didn't mind. In his mind, he was seated on a dining table and having dinner with Tsuwaki and Kushina. The redhead was holding their child in her arms, and Tsuwaki was smiling happily. As he smiled, he bathed himself in their projection. He knew it was just his mind, as his soul leave his body. At least his soul and mind were in agreement. He wanted the last thing for him to see was his family. Short distance away, Kushina climbed up the rock face as she looked around. As she opened her mouth and shouted, "Uncle!" As the urge to tear off her gas mask was there. The mask, it was limiting her sight as it also covered her entire face, messing with her senses. But she knew, Jinjuriki or not, if she removed this, her lungs would explode. She could not inhale that brutal air. She yelled, "Uncle Ruto!" Her sensory ability was all over the place. Mito, with her land, was ruining her sensory ability. With her limited sight, she saw others calling for him. As they couldn't find him, as she shouted his name, others doing the same as well. As she summoned dozens of chains, lifting rocks, moving anything out of her path as she tried to find him. Skin sizzle. The ones that were getting too effective were told to leave, because their skin would melt away if they stayed too long. He tried to ignore that as he tried to find leader, but their superiors yelled at them to go. As Kushina felt her skin burning, took off the pain as she climbed onto a soil. As she called out his name, but yet nothing. "He's here!" a voice shouted. Her chains yanked her over there quickly as possible, try and find that person. As the medic apologized as he removed Naruto's glasses and mask. He did not look away at all or even flinch as he saw Naruto's maw, as he placed oxygen mask over Naruto's lower face. As Naruto was pale, incredibly so, and his eyes were shut. "Uncle," she cried. 3 pair of arms grabbed her though, stopping her from intervening. As the first medic checked, there was no pulse. Another one unsealed a stretcher, and they quickly and softly placed him down so he can get a place to lie down. The second one flipped through hand signs. He placed his hand over Naruto's chest. No internal bleeding. Female medic came down the rock that Kushina came from as she was holding a medical kit. As she dropped the machine down beside him that she got from the box, he placed both hands on Naruto's head. After a quick apology, "No, brain activity." Second medic unzipped Naruto's jacket ever, mumbling his apologies, allowing Naruto to breathe easier. Ninjas above trying to see as he tried to revive the leader. No other medic approached. If there were 2 men, they would disrupt the first responders. The female pulled out a syringe that was filled with a yellow liquid. She found a vein and slowly slid the needle into his left wrist. Adrenaline has been administered as she looked towards a medic at Naruto's head that was doing the same thing as she was doing a moment ago. He shook his head. Still no brain activity. The other man that had his hands on Naruto's chest nodded. There's a pulse. His lungs are functioning. You need to get him out of here, second one said. The nearest hospital is 10 miles away, east. Dark Capital, General Hospital. Female nodded as she put the needle back into the pack. He fastened Naruto onto the stretcher with 3 black straps. They lifted him up as they made their way. They had to focus, had to keep on track. They couldn't make any mistakes here. He not jogged beside Naruto the entire way as she went into the carriage that was given to him to be used towards his any need. But he never really used it. He always preferred walking. Ma was in carriage as well. He was there since the beginning from Madara's fight. People assembled outside in the tens of thousands as Dark Country stood still, as only a brain surgeon and heart doctor was allowed inside with Yuma. As they got him inside right at the same time as the adrenaline in his system ran out. Time skip. A few hours later, as the news anchor was talking about everything that happened, as there was places that were tremendously disturbed because of the planetary devastations. The people were living under the underground bunkers until their places were being restored. The woman looked up as her eyes You could see the worry in them. Good evening, Dark Country, she said. Some hours ago, Lord Naruto was rushed into emergency ward and is still under operation after his fight with Madara Uchiha. The leader tower is silent on the details, but saying that the doctors are trying their best to revive. Her voice cracked as she had to take a breath. To revive Lord Naruto, she said. Due to the successful efforts of Lord Naruto, he was able to limit the battle into Mito's grassland, and there was no loss of life. As the woman swallowed thickly, the producer there rolled his wrist for her to continue, as he was man enough to admit that he couldn't do any better. To give this news under the circumstances, the news was going all over darkness and in the non-allied nations and allied nations as well. Leader's Tower said that Lord Naruto has long since created protocols. In the event of his incapacitation or demise, the country will be placed in a state of emergency, and Lady Suwaki, Lord Naruto's first wife, will take over until Lord Naruto has recovered fully, or it's confirmed. She took a breath. Or it's confirmed of his passing. Dark Country Council would proceed as they always have, and Lord Naruto wished for them to support Lady Suwaki with all their might. As the people around lowered their head, they were not sure what was gonna happen. They were not sure if their leader was gonna survive. But he was Naruto the ghost, the one who went through it all, the one who always rise, the one never to fall. They were worried, and no one was sure of his condition. No one was sure what was gonna happen. All of them were worried. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If you want the next part, then do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on the bell notifications stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also, guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Was Neglected with Jashin sealed inside of him. And over Anime King, I post a brand new episode of What If Naruto Became the God of Lightning. So go ahead and check out that and enjoy, guys. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, yes, I have 3 channels, Anime King 2, and Anime King 3, which I post What If on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new, I'll be replying talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say we get the hell out of here? See you guys tomorrow. Peace.